good morning, and good night. Thanks again for downloading the Body Snatchers podcast. And when you listen, stream, or download straight to your device, Castbox is your best option. Remember, if you like what you hear today, don't forget to subscribe and comment. So let's get started. Enjoy the show.
Good morning and good night. Welcome to the show. I want you guys to go to bodysnatcherspodcast.com. And the reason I want you guys to go is because we always have free giveaways. We got free giveaways for people that follow us on social media. We got free giveaways for people that follow us on the Patron. So you guys just want to go there, check it out, just follow the steps, and we'll handle the rest. We appreciate you guys watching us. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you're watching our commercials on Facebook, Instagram, we appreciate all that. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Hit that little bell in the corner so you're always notified when we come out with a new show, just like this one. And if you're listening to us at the gym, on the way to work, you left your wife and you're going far, far away, we got you.
Really...
We got it. Happens. And then you need us. You need us more than ever. Yeah, you need us more than ever then. So listen to us on Spotify, iTunes, Google. What is it? Google Podcasts, Music Play. We're everywhere. We're even on Stitcher. No one's even heard of Stitcher anymore, but we're on Stitcher. But I always use Castbox.
Did you say Podbean also?
Yeah, Podbean. I do use Podbean too. But Castbox is the best. It just lets you make a playlist and you could be gone all day. So I'm your host, Steve, not here, with Gia.
'Tis I.
Yeah, she's a little sick.
I am.
I forced her. I forced myself upon her to make this joke.
That did not happen. Let me clarify that.
Usually you're supposed to lie and get me arrested, but whatever. Today we're going to talk about Umbrella Academy on Netflix, which I loved. We've been trying to get this show done for a while. We're very busy, but we got it here today. It's early in the morning for us, but we're going to deal with it. So she's going to eat. I got my energy drink.
I'm going to drink my water. It's going to be great.
Yeah, it's almost noon, so I should have been asleep for another 4 hours, but these are the breaks. This is what I do.
Lazy.
So right out the gate, you read the comics, right?
Yes.
So how did this show, how did it go with the comics? Did it go?
So they kept the powers mostly that everybody has, and they kept the, I guess, core of the story with what happens at the end. Kind of changes a bit, but not too much. In the comics, there's not really a lot of getting to know the characters like there is in the show. In the show, I felt that they did a really good job fleshing out the characters so you can know who they are and what they're about. And what's really good about it is that Gerard Way had something to do with the show. So you know that them fleshing the characters out was him telling them, okay, this is how this goes. A lot was different, though. In some instances, I preferred where the comic went for how the storyline went, because
Right.
I felt like there was a lot of unnecessary drama in the show that could have been avoided, but it's Netflix.
Well,
so.
it has to translate to the screen too. Now, was it one of those where it has to translate to
Some of it?
viewership?
Well, for it to be a long show, yes, they had to do some kind of translation. But, like, for instance, anybody who's read the comic would know that Leonard was kind of unnecessary. Like, they just added a love story in for kind of really no reason. And
Cringy love story.
yeah, like, really awkward. Like, Leonard was so annoying the whole time. And I'm just sitting here like, why is he still talking? His voice is annoying. And I know that's just like the person.
Right.
Kind of feel bad.
That was a good shot right there, Adam. Not the character.
But,
I want the person
just the
doing the work.
person. Like, stop using that voice.
Yeah, the person that woke up that morning came to work. That's the person we got a problem
I'm just gonna
with.
talk like this the whole time.
They couldn't get anyone else.
Please quit it. Well, I think they wanted to match the awkwardness of Vanya with the awkwardness of a love interest, and I think that's where that came from.
I think they wanted you to be annoyed with him too, just a little bit, to be like, I don't know about this guy.
Nah, a lot of bit.
Yeah.
Although, you kind of feel sorry for him when his storyline comes out. Dude ran away all the way from home to go and try to join the Umbrella Academy, and good old Reginald Hargreaves was just like, nah, get off my property. And embarrass him in front of everybody.
With his homemade clothes just to go back to get jacked up by his dad.
Well, no, he didn't get jacked up. His dad tried, and then he was just like, "Nah, I ain't taking this anymore," and then, beat him to death, but here we
Well,
are.
I'm sure you got a couple scheduled beatings before then. You don't just come out and rock your dad with a hammer just because he asked you for what was it, a beer? That's it?
Well, yeah, it was a beer, but he was just like, "This dude's about to beat on me every single day like he used to," and then boom,
Now
snapped.
the biggest thing I didn't like about this show, it's not even about the actual show. It was too dark. I'm not talking about too grungy or too gory. It's the whatever filter they were using, it was way too dark to where I could only watch it at 1 AM.
The regular life filter? This
Yeah,
is what life looks like?
it was dark. They'd be in their house at, like, noon, and I had my windows open, no glare, but it's like, man, I can only see, like, the center because it'd be like you go to the edges, and it'd be darker, and then the center, you can see it. So I had to put the brightness literally
I
all the
mean,
way
it's
up.
not like they had all the windows open in the Umbrella Academy so that, it was super bright inside.
I know they were trying to set the tone, but what's the point of making it 4K if you're just gonna do that? I that was my only problem. I mean, the
I had no problem watching it on my normal TV with the
I
windows wide open.
I think you're lying. I think you're lying. It's just
No.
something I noticed, and once I noticed it, I couldn't unnotice it.
Uh,
So
Maybe your TV settings need to be fixed.
that
Maybe
was my
it's
only issue. I turned the brightness all the way
user
up,
error.
but then it was just a white cloud. It was just a white cloud of TV, so I couldn't win.
That's terrible. But yeah, so on the Leonard part, obviously since this is spoiler city and we just going for
We'll spoil everything
it.
except the end. You guys should have watched it already. If not, you
Yeah,
guys
we're
gotta
not
go
gonna
watch
talk
it
about the
immediately.
end. But so with Leonard was completely non-existent in the comic book. What it was is
Oh,
that Vanya had she got invited to join some orchestra, and you have this character named the conductor, basically. And she declines at first because he's like, "We want to do the apocalypse suite and destroy the world." And she's like, "Nah, that doesn't sound good." And she runs off to try to be with her family. And they kind of bring up a couple of the villains that are present in the comic book, with Leonard talking about, oh, like when he's playing with the toys, and he's like, "Oh, we're going against Professor What's His Face." And uh, in the show, what happens is Reginald dies, brings everybody together, and then it automatically sets off a pre-programmed robot apocalypse at like a amusement park across the pond from them, so they have to go and fight it. And then, of course, here comes Vanya running in with her violin,
exactly
and
how
then
she runs,
Diego,
right?
yeah,
Violin on
and
her
then
back like a sword.
yeah, she had it in a little bag too. But so Diego and her, I guess, had some like weird, unsettled relationship. And she runs up and then she almost gets like killed. And he starts yelling at her. And he's like, "What the F are you doing here? You're not supposed to be here. You could have got killed." And she's like, "I wanted to help." And he goes, "You're not any help. You're not special." And she starts crying her ugly tears and runs off back to the conductor, who like
Girls do.
she puts her through like this MRI machine of experimentation. And then she comes out dressed how I have her right here. And she's just like, "Oh man, I got these powers." And she, like, the very first thing she does is she kills the conductor. Like, she just takes her violin, swipes it, and it just like cuts the dude in half. And that's like your introduction to her villain character, the white
She a human
violin.
violin? What are those strings on her body?
She is. That's literally representative of her powers. So her power is sound absorption, and what she can do is any sounds that she absorbs, as you saw in the show, they
Right.
they actually did a pretty good job of bringing that to life. Is her powers are tied to her emotions and also to the level of sound that she absorbs. So the whole point of the Apocalypse Suite, which is the very last episode, is that she's absorbing all of the sounds of the orchestra to do, the thing that she's going to do. But like when she becomes that character, there's just this whole stream of like her running around like just attacking stuff, blowing stuff up with her
I
violin, and
loved
it's
her
just
eyes.
hilarious.
I loved her eyes
Dude,
in the show.
yeah. I was a little bit sad at first, like when she just walked out and the only thing that was different was her eyes, and I was like, "But she's supposed to look like a violin now." And then, later her tuxedo that she's wearing turns white, which I thought was pretty cool. And then her violin turned white. But um other characters, dude. So were you expecting that Luther and Allison relationship?
Well, what was there, 7 of them? A couple of them had to
Yeah,
try
there
to
were
bang,
7.
so yeah. Yeah, so
Yeah. It's a
plus
little
plus
awkward that
the
you phrased it that
hardships.
way.
Well, but think about it, you're in the same house, You live with a mean old man, and then it's just the kids, a robot, and a monkey.
Yeah.
It's you're gonna make connections. And they did that really good. I like how they have their own little space. They have their own little tent. They did a
And then
scene
they got
where
yelled at immediately.
yeah they did a scene where you can tell their upbringing was just terrible. So they all got short tempers. So they all get mad at each other, go to their respected rooms, and then Luther plays music, and then they all just escape at the same
Dance
time.
to old 80s music
Yeah,
and, clearly the 2000s.
yeah, and I liked it. They did. What that showed me is they've been doing this for their whole life,
Mhm.
and it makes me feel like they do got a connection together, which was good. The thing that, well, two things of the people that live in that house. How good did Pogo look?
Oh, I thought that they did his, animation extremely well.
It
He
looked
died a little bit differently in the comic than, he died in the show, but it was still the same, like, pull together from it, although they made it a lot sadder in the show, like, I was super sad
that
in
was
the show,
brutal.
like, in the comic, you don't really get, like, a huge, like, "Oh, I love this character," like, you know that he exists, he was there helping the kids, like, he's a fount of knowledge, but in the comics, Vanya runs up on the academy with her, like, posse of orchestra folks, they're all wearing their stupid masks, so
Oh,
you
she
can't
had
tell who they
minions.
are. Yeah,
She had
she
foot
has this
soldiers.
whole orchestra, and, like, their whole see, in the comics, their whole thing was they wanted to destroy the world. So you have Vanya with this posse of, I guess just band members, like they're the marching band, and they're just like, "Oh, let's go." And one guy's like, "What are we doing here?" She's like, "We have to be here." And then you have Pogo, and I think it's like Diego upstairs, and they're looking down on her, and she just like splits Pogo, like she blows his brains out. And I'm just like, "Holy crap!" And there was no preamble to it. At least in the show, they gave you a preamble. Like she was mad at him because he knew what happened to her and
Right,
didn't say anything to her. But in the comics, she was just like unwanted destruction.
right, and he was real respecting that house. So when she
Mhm.
confronts him and she lifted him up first before she tossed him, I thought it was one of those gimmicks to where throws him, boom, he hits the bookshelf, books come down, he's hurt, he's
Yeah,
out of
no, she was
commission for the
killing him.
show. Yeah, she was like, let's just get this over with.
She was whooping him.
Let's just get this done. I still thought Diego and his mom was worse. I thought that was rough to where he's so connected with her, and he just sits there, grabs her, and disables her.
Yeah, and then
I
was like, "How did you come back to life?"
right, he was so
Pogo.
emotional. I wish they would have done his powers a little bit differently. They only showed us through the show. It's just like single knife throw where he can manipulate the things that he can throw.
Well, yeah, he can throw. Yeah, he usually does it with knives. He can control where the trajectory of the weapons.
Yeah, I would have liked to
That's
see
literally all his power was.
something cooler,
They
or throw a couple of them at once.
Yeah. I think in the comics he does, like, do multiple dagger throws. So Ben
Yeah, let's talk about Ben because
they
even I,
did not flesh him out at all in the comics. You knew he existed, you knew that he turned into, like a terrifying monster, like because
Kraken.
the tentacles would come out of him, and, he would just, like, whoop on things, and then that was it. Like, the only time that we see him again is when we see his statue when they are, like, fighting outside of the academy, and that's it. Like, there's no revisiting Ben, and it's the same thing with Klaus. Like, Klaus, yeah, he was a junkie, and they covered that he took drugs in the comics too to try to, like, mute all the death, but he was
Right.
more in control of his powers in the comics. Like, he could already, like, channel individuals, period, at that point in time. He didn't have the issues that he had in the show, I guess you would say.
So in the comics or the show, actually, did he kill himself or was he put in the battle?
Ben?
Yeah,
Or well, they don't really say he killed himself in the show either. They just they kind of say that he died during a mission.
yeah.
And that's the same feel that you get from the TV show. Like they still never went into how he died, and they didn't do it in the comic either. They just said that, he died.
Well, that's another. They're so smart because that's another reason I'm gonna be their day one season two. They've given you so much in the show, and then they keep just a little bit to be like, you want to know what happened? You're either gonna have to read, which you'll read, but I'm gonna be
And then
there
you'll
for the
be
show.
like, this is completely different than the show, but with some things being the same.
Right, right. Which I don't really mind, but I'm just not a reader. I don't do that. I don't do that. But to go to Klaus, that's probably my favorite character. I mean, he was just so charismatic through the whole show. Every time he was on the screen, it was just
Yeah.
entertaining. It was just good stuff.
Get your big gay brother who could do big gay things and summon the dead.
God, he must be so lucky. So lucky.
Well, see, and that's another thing. So in the comics, he never channels his father. So that was something interesting I thought they did for the TV show. He pretends to channel his father at the end,
Right.
and like distracts Vanya at one point with that because she's like, "You did this to me," and he's just like pretending to be Daddy Dearest, and it's hilarious because like the other family members are like, "Were you really Reginald?" And he's like, "Nah, I can summon that dude. Like I was just faking it."
That would have been a decent ending to the show.
hmm
But
But
I didn't
I'm
mind
sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't mind how it ended. I mean, it was actually really quick, but it answered everything in like the last 10 minutes of the show, which is and I think how it should be, how it should be in a finale.
Yeah.
I actually found myself, I'm like, all right, it's 10 episodes. We're 40 minutes into the last episode, and I'm thinking, like, what's gonna happen here? Is it gonna be another black screen, which is like something happens and then boom goes black, and then you gotta wait the 2 years, or are they actually gonna give me something that I can actually talk about? Well, not
Well,
here.
hopefully it won't be a 2-year wait because Netflix has been pretty good with their original shows where just a couple months later something will come out or like a year later. So like we had The Chilling Adventures of Sabrina and the next season comes out April 5th, I think was the date.
Yeah.
So they've been pretty good about like keeping their stuff on track.
Well,
So
some of
fingers
them,
crossed.
yeah, some of them get approved back to back to where you can do these
hmm
shows, take a little break, and then just keep getting them out, which I like
Yeah.
because I'm not gonna live forever. I plan on dying at 35. I don't know if I told you that.
You did not tell me that, but that's a little morbid. I plan on trying to run for president at 35, so here we are.
For so many reasons.
Somebody's gonna pull up this podcast. Reason one why she should not be president. Look at all these F bombs. Yeah.
I voted for Harambe. I guess I can vote for you too.
I'm on level with Harambe. That's so special. So, speaking of Harambe, how did you feel of Reginald?
I liked him. I did. They could have made me hate him a little more,
Ah,
right? Because the
what
character,
what do you think he was? Because they kind of went into his background a tiny bit towards the end.
I thought he was just a strict person, but he was super smart.
Yes. So he
He
is
was
actually an alien, and they touched on that with that one scene where he's talking to his dying
lady
wife, I
friend,
guess
his
you would
lady
call
friend.
him. Yeah, and then like all the powers are like jumping off of his planet. So they really don't like touch on that a lot. Like that's supposed to be one of those things that like one, if you read the comics, obviously, you know, and two, it was like subtly there, like, oh well, it looks like humans, so it might be humans, but he's an alien. And that's the big thing is like so and that's why they also visited like how the Umbrella Academy got its name. That was in the 1800s. You can put two and two together and realize that
Right.
he's been alive for a long time.
Well, that's what confused a
Um,
lot of people because they had that scene to where they started like episode 8 and he's walking around
mhm.
the 1800s. So
Yeah.
what they say is, yeah, he knew that all this would happen. He must have went
So he
back in
did.
time.
No, it's not time. He's an alien. He's an
Yeah,
alien. He knows
yeah,
what's happening. And something they didn't really cover is his monocle is very special. If you wear the monocle, you can see the truth about people. And it's hilarious because in the comics they visit that, and number 5 actually puts the monocle on, and he's looking at like pretty much everybody, seeing the things that are going to happen, and that's how he puts two and two together about Vanya, is because he's using the monocle. And now that I think about it, I think he's next. Yeah, he's the one that's next to Pogo when Vanya blows Pogo's brains out, and he sees what's happening, and he's just like, "Oh, this is interesting." Like he doesn't give two cares that Pogo's been killed. He's just like, wow, interesting. Vanya's going to be the end of the world.
Did they
And
say that the monocle had any powers in
they did not. They alluded to the monocle being special because Luther was just like, "Where's the monocle? Dad never takes his
right?
monocle off." And like they kind of made it a little bit special when Vanya cracked it a little bit and he pulled it off and he's like bleeding.
Yeah.
But his whole thing was like I'm 99% sure he knew that all the children born, like all 43 were going to be special. I think it was 43. 43
Yeah.
like kids were going to be special, and that's why he went trying to buy them all up because he wanted to use them to prevent the catastrophe that he knew was coming.
Did you buy
So,
them all or just
he just got the 7 even in the comics. So,
so what are the other 43? Just regular people or some of them
and
villains?
no, so some of them could be like pretty much I would assume all of them are supers because Apocalypse Suite wasn't the only comic book, but that's the only one I'm going to talk about. You have another one, I think it's called like Dallas, and then there's like another series, and then there's still one that's going on even today. So like if you look up the comics, you can like start reading those as they're coming out. And like the organization, I can't remember what they're called in the show. They're called something completely different in the comics, and they don't come in until the second comic series. Like they're
The commission.
completely, yeah, the commission. They're completely absent during the Apocalypse Suite. They have nothing to do with it at all. So I thought that it was good that they brought them in early because you got to know them better. Cha Cha is a dude in the comics, not a chick. So that was another change that they made. But
Nobody,
I didn't even know. I did not know that was Mary J. Blige.
nobody knew
Like,
that was Mary J. Blige.
no, and then so, like, I'm sitting here and I'm watching, I'm like, "This female looks familiar," and then the second episode happens, I'm like, "She looks so familiar," and then the name Mary J. Blige pops up, and I was just like, "That's Mary J. Blige," like,
And everyone figured that out
surprise!
at like the seventh episode. They're like, she looks so familiar, but she's in no other movies or no other TV shows. Where is she from? And I look, it's Mary J. Blige. And then you see it on
Yeah.
Facebook. You'll see it. We'll see it every now and then, like throughout every day. Mary J. Blige is on Umbrella Academy.
Yep,
She did a good job. I liked it.
she did a real good job.
The guy
It's
that
very
played
good.
Hazel too. I sometimes I couldn't tell if he was serious or just lighthearted. He was a little bit hard to read, but I
It was his
liked his character a
voice,
lot
and
too.
he was very, like, not I wouldn't say monotone, he was kinda monotone, but it was just he kept the same calm, like, voice pattern in everything. No matter the situation, he was just like, "Hey, guys, we gotta do this thing," and you're just like, "Oh, it's Hazel. We like Hazel."
He would have the same tone where he's like, "I'm getting a donut. Do you want anything?"
And she thought she was like she's like, "Oh, we gotta be a couple, let's do this thing," and then she was like, "What? He's going to that donut hoe bag? Nah. Imma kill both of them." I was just like, "Jesus, Cha-Cha, stop being jealous. Move on with your life."
Side note, did you get rid of your cable?
No?
I was reading something. I had the link in front of me, but I don't know where it was at. To where Netflix is the sole provider of people getting away from cable. You agree with that?
Well, see, I can agree with that, but, for instance, I still have cable because I like watching Steven Universe, and I like Cartoon Network shows in general, and I will still watch it for that. I don't really watch cable for much of anything else, but
If Cartoon Network came out with a streaming app.
they do have a streaming app, and I use it, but you still have to have a cable provider so you can sign in with
Oh, I see. Yeah.
your cable stuff.
So it's still like on demand, like an HBO Go.
Mhm.
Yeah. I'm thinking of cutting cable because I was just thinking about it. All my stuff is apps and streaming apps now, and I
Yeah.
think I think I have I think it's $60 by itself for just regular cable that nobody watches because I don't have time to, and it's always Netflix when I come home, just like everyone else,
Yeah.
or it's Hulu, or it's the WWE Network. So I canceled it yesterday, so I cut the wire.
Oh, wow.
I feel a little
You cut
bad.
your umbilical cord?
Yeah, I
You just
feel a little
removed
bad
it?
'cause
Just
I'm not used to it. I gotta put the body back, but I'm
I'm
just
not used to
like
not having this thing that I never watch. Like, was it, like a comfort blanket like babies have? Like, they just have it and they feel better about themselves for you?
to all the alphas out there, it's like having a girlfriend that you don't like, but you don't want her to see anyone else. So, like, when you guys finally break up, it's like, "Man, this is uncomfortable."
Oh my gosh, yeah, I still have cable, and, every blue moon, I'll watch Lifetime or something because you know what? I made a joke in the beginning that I was gonna follow through with the snapped comment, like where it's just the show about women who have snapped because they've been abused for too long, or, like, they have the Snapped Lovers Edition where it's, like, the chick and her, like, significant other that's not her husband go on a rampage.
Jeez. I'd watch it.
Oh.
I don't
See,
think
and that's why I like some of the cable channels because they go into those and like murder mysteries. I love murder mysteries, so it's fun for me to watch those because I like getting into psycho folks' minds, which is probably why I'm friends with you because you're psychotic.
Did you see Abducted in Plain Sight?
I did not actually, not yet.
Oh, man,
I've been seeing all the memes though.
that dude moved to town and he banged the entire family. The mom,
Yeah.
the daughters, the dad, the dog, all of them. He banged all of them, everybody.
Yeah. I was reading the synopsis of everybody on my stream talking about, talking about how the dad was like, "I just helped out my friend," and I was like,
I've helped a buddy move before, and, whenever our hands would touch getting that fridge, I said, "No homo." That was the end of it.
"Okay."
The end of it. So, that
That's the
documentary
end of
was
it.
weird. But to get back to the Umbrella Academy,
Yes.
it was a great show. The ending had a big payoff. I love the ending. It was some people called it corny, but I felt like it was necessary. Like, after they I don't wanna give, too much away, but it didn't end the way everyone thought it would end, and then something else came about, and I'm like, "Oh, that makes sense."
Which the ending is completely different from the comic. I'm just gonna throw that out
How
there,
did it end in
like,
the comic? You can tell
I
me.
will tell you. Well, okay, so in the comic book, Vanya is, like, doing her thing, she's about to destroy the whole world, and Ben shoots her in the head. He just, like, puts a bullet in her head, and he misses all the vital parts, so she is still alive, she's not dead, but she completely loses her memory. She has no memory of anything that happened, like, she's just like, "Oh, this is a brand new world." It's like Ariel when she gets on the land for the first time with her legs, and she's
Like
like,
that
"What
chick
is
from
this?"
Berserk.
Yeah, kind of, but not, like, stupid. So,
You girls are
because
so mean to each other.
Cat no, it's true, Casca, like, becomes she's like a child after she loses her memory. Vanya, not so much. Vanya just doesn't know what happened, what was going on. And, in that in that ending too, part of the moon gets blown off, not the whole moon, part of the moon gets blown off and it showers down. And at that point is, I believe, the only time that Klaus actually channels Ben, if I remember correctly. Because if I remember correctly, you see the ghostly tentacles come out and it covers everybody from being hit from this chunk of the moon. And that was another thing. So in the comic, Luther was sent up to the moon specifically. Like everybody already knew that he was Monkey Boy. Like literally, that was a joke and an insult throughout the whole thing because he was a monkey kid after his incident, and he was sent up to the moon to track that specific incident happening because as soon as it happens, he gets a call back from the robot that was left up on the moon, and the robot's like, "The thing that we were here for has happened," and Luther's like, "Oh, here we go. Like, I was up there because of this." Um,
Well, he
Allison,
was just spliced with a gorilla, right? Or a
yeah,
monkey. Yeah.
yeah, he was a big old gorilla. Oh, and that's why the joke in the show when Pogo's like, "Your blood's more like for me, not for Allison."
But
When
he always had super strength, right?
yes, he was always strong.
Yeah, so that was his thing, and Allison's is, they call it rumor.
Yeah, so she would just be like, "I heard a rumor," and her ability is persuasion. She can persuade anybody to do anything.
It's every hot girl's power.
No, not really.
Well, you don't know, but, it gets complicated with some people.
Did she just insult me low key?
Yeah, yeah, that was shade.
Ooh,
That was a straight
ooh,
shot.
buddy. But yeah, in the comics, it's similar. Like she has a similar thing where like she made a family and then the family didn't work out. But in the comic book, she like rumors Luther into kissing her. It's like I had a rumor that you wanted to kiss me since we were 8, and then they kiss. I was just like, you can't use your power like that, Allison.
She raped him.
Quit sexually assaulting people.
Yeah, she raped him. So
But no, they liked each other, so I guess it wasn't okay, but that's what happened.
so Klaus can
And then
conjure people, and then he can, make
he
them
can like
material.
yeah, materialize.
That's
And
big
he
power.
also had other powers. Dude had like telekinesis, he could float and stuff, and they completely removed all those powers. And I was like,
You could have easily put it in the show to make him fly,
you could have
or to
you
ma
made Pogo fly, even though he never flew in the comics.
I don't like how we're joking about that. That was rough.
And then Ben, or number 5, that's it. Number 5 was exactly how he was in the comic, and I laughed so hard about that. Like exactly the same. Just cynical a-hole. Dude was like 58 years old in his timeline and then came back after he like ran away, and you could just tell he's a crotchety old man in a little kid's body.
Yeah, where they had that Castaway kind of, storyline
Yeah,
to where
where
he's,
his
talking
Dolores.
yeah, talking to the mannequin and the way he talks to her. I'm glad
And then she's responding to him, yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm glad they didn't like put in some kind of like mental dialogue to where he's actually hearing her. I like how it was just conversations of him just talking to the piece of wood.
Yeah. And
But
then, what was it, the wine part? And she's like, "You're a lush," basically. He's like, "You don't get to tell me when I've drank too much." I died. "I got your favorite." And she's like, "You drink too much. Don't tell me how I drink." This old dude.
I thought I will add in Castaway when he's talking to Wilson, he's having a conversation and he kind of slips back into reality to where he sees how pathetic and lonely he is, and then he slips back in. I would have liked one of those scenes in there.
Yeah, number 5 wasn't having that stuff. He just went cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and lived his life.
Yeah,
And that's why when, like, what's her face, the handler came, he's like, "Who are you? I'm gonna shoot you in the face piece. Make your case."
All right.
So,
Well, I thought the show was I should listen to people more on Twitter because there was no news about it. Nobody talked about it. Nobody on Body Snatchers told me. It was only people on Twitter wanting to talk about Ben and wanting to talk about the ending to the show. So I'm glad I listened to those people because I watched this show in like 2 days.
yeah.
I know.
It
I
was
know.
over a course of a week for me because I have to wait for my kid to go to sleep to watch shows because he has nightmares. So
Yeah.
I'd
I
rather
just I
let
just
him wake up at 3 a.m. and climb into my bed and try to kick me off of it and elbow me and suplex me while I'm sleeping. Be great.
I just ignore my kids. So
I know you do.
yeah, I'm
Poor
pretty good.
Sam.
I'm pretty good at that.
So,
All right, so I want everyone to head to bodysnatcherspodcast.com. If you liked our show, whatever you follow us on social media, share, like, comment a friend, tell us what you thought about it. On YouTube, same thing. Comment, share it. We're always there. We're always everywhere. We see every notification. So if you guys have a comment, let us know. So for Steve and Gia, tell someone you love them. Take care. Bye. Okay, bye.
were you still working? Were you wait? Okay, I thought you said bye for me. I was like, you said it for me. Keep an eye out for this cosplay. I'm gonna be doing it soon, and have a good day. Have a good night. Enjoy your families. Bye.
Take care.